Hello and welcome back to CrochetObjet Knitting. If you're new here, my name is Mo. On today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to start knit for absolute beginners. Actually, one of the first videos I uploaded here is just the same, but I speak in Hebrew. And over the last weekend, I received a few very nice requests asking me to show and to explain speaking English. And I know a few of you are Etsy customers and you are interested in knitting my kiss blanket, which is mainly made out of knit stitch, which is what I'm going to be showing you today. So if you want to learn with me how to knit for absolute beginners, this is the video for you. Let's get started. So in order to start knitting, we just need a yarn, a ball of yarn, and a pair of needles. And you can use wooden needles or metal needles. In today's video, I will use these wooden 6-inch DPN needles, 2 of them. These are LYKEE needles, Norwegian wooden needles. LYKEE means happiness in both Danish and Norwegian, which is very clever. Knitting is happiness. And we start by cast on. Cast on means that we prepare stitches on the needle that will start our work. Actually, I'm teaching you today in the exact same way my grandmother taught me how to knit when I was a young kid. So the first thing we did is casting on, and she showed me the long tail method, which goes like that. We take the yarn tail. Usually I wrap it about 10 times on my needle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I want to cast on 20 stitches for this demonstration. So I know this yarn tail is more or less for 10 stitches, and I double it, and that's for 20, and I take a little more. And I put the short tail on my thumb and the running yarn, the yarn which is connected to the ball, on my index finger. And I hold both of them just like so. I start without a knot, and I'll show you how. I'll take the darker needle so you can see better. I hold the yarn just like so. It's not too loose and not too tight. I take my needle and I wrap the yarn around it just like so. Now I will take the needle down, and now you can see a kind of a loop made around my thumb. I take my needle under this loop and I go out, and then I go to my index finger and back to the loop. In order to feel comfortable doing this, you have to keep your tension right. So these yarns have to be in the right tension, not too loose and not too tight. Let's do it again. And you see I'm holding with these 2 fingers, I hold the loops that are already made on my needle. Under the loop, go out of the middle, pick up the index finger yarn and go back through the loop. Let's do it again. And yes, every few stitches I'm making my tension better. I'm re-holding my yarns. So the short tail on my thumb and the running yarn on my index finger. I'm turning my hand, and this is the position I want to start with. Go into the loop, into my index finger, back through the loop. Now I'm taking out my thumb finger from the yarn and I give it a tug. Take out your thumb and put it under the short tail, give it a tug, and I want to make sure my stitches are not too tight on the needle and not too loose. Again, knitting is all about tension, and in order to make stitches that you can easily go through them on your next row, you have to keep them a little loose and they have to breathe on the needle. Let's do it again. So I make sure the short tail is on my thumb and the running yarn on my index finger. With these three fingers, I'm holding them to keep my tension. Take it down, and now under the loop, into the index finger, back from the loop, take out your thumb and put it under the short tail to give it the right size and to make it nicely sit on your needle. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 14, 15, and I do count my first wrap as the first stitch. So I have to cast on 5 more stitches. And I do recommend that you look at this section again and again. Go back and look again. And do one action, go back to look at the video and do the next action till you have it seated in your brain and in your hands. Let's count again. 2,
4, 6, 8, 10,
20 stitches on my needle. So when I finish to cast on my 20 stitches, I'm in this position. And now I'm turning my needle just like so. The yarn, the running yarn, and the short tail are on the right side. Let's take the second needle and bring the stitches a little bit forward on your needle, on your left hand needle. Make sure you don't knit on the short tail. And now we will start to knit. And I will teach you here the knit stitch, which is the first stitch to learn when we just start knitting. So first, let's talk about how I'm holding the yarn. For me, I'm holding my running yarn just like this. Once again, over my pinky, under the 2 next 2 fingers, and over my index finger. And once again, I have to make sure this yarn is on the right tension. I don't want to keep it too loose and I don't want to keep it too tight so it marks my finger. I want to keep it just in a balanced tension. And now I'm taking my right hand needle, insert it into the first loop, just like so. Wrap the yarn over my needle, and with these 2 fingers, I'm going on top of the wrapped yarn, and I'm taking the stitch out. And knitting is moving stitches from the left hand needle into the right hand needle. let's do the next stitch. Insert my hook just like so into the next stitch, wrap the yarn, and I go over with the left hand needle and I take the stitch off the left hand needle. Insert my hook, that's first. Second, wrap the yarn over the right hand needle, go over with the left hand needle and drop the stitch of the needle. And here I knitted 3 stitches, so if I have 20, I still have 17 here to knit. And every few stitches I will make sure to bring the stitches towards me. And please bear in mind, the first row is not the easiest row to knit, but it's only the first row. The first row is where the stitches on my needle, the cast on stitches on my left hand needle are, sometimes they are too stiff, and that's fine, that's okay. I really remember myself fighting with my right hand needle to insert it into the stitch after the casting on, and that's fine, don't worry, just keep on trying. The next row will be much easier. So now I finished to knit my first row, all my stitches on my right hand needle. Now I want to keep on knitting. I turn my needle just like so, and the running yarn is once again on the right side. Let's do it again. I'm holding my yarn first. Put the yarn on your pinky, under the next two, over your index finger. Make sure you have tension, and the tension will come from the way you hold the yarn and you tighten these 3 fingers. In this way, the yarn will not run away or you feel like it's water in your hand, if you know what I mean. The way I'm teaching here is called the English style. I will knit this row in English style, where I hold the yarn on the right hand, and on the next row I will show you how to knit Continental. Insert your right hand needle into the stitch just like so. Once again, wrap the yarn over, and with these 2 fingers help yourself going over the wrapped yarn and take the stitch off the left hand needle. So this is the English style, English knitting style. Let me show you how to do it Continental. First I have to turn the needle, and again I have the running yarn on the right side of the needle. When you first start knitting, I recommend that you start with trying the English style. Now I will show you the Continental style, and try both methods and see what you prefer. When I knit Continental, I usually close my fingers, hold the yarn, make sure it's stuck there, and then I just take my index finger out and hold the yarn here. This is my way to knit Continental. You will you will develop your own style. And now once again, I insert my right hand needle into the first stitch, wrap the yarn, and go out from the stitch, or sorry, I split the yarn here, and take the first stitch out of the left hand needle. And in Continental, it's a little bit different the way you dance with your hands, but you do exactly the same thing you did in English style. You insert the right hand needle, wrap the yarn, go over the wrapped yarn, and take the stitch of the left hand needle. And for me, if you see, my index finger does its dance in order to wrap the yarn, but you can also help yourself with the right hand index finger in order to wrap the yarn, keep it wrapped, and go over with the left hand stitch, the left hand needle. I do recommend that you try first in the English style before you try the Continental, and then try the Continental style. For years I knitted in English style as my grandmother taught me, and about 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, I taught myself how to knit in the Continental style, and it took me a while. It took a few months till I felt comfortable enough, and now I can say this is the most comfortable way for me to knit. When I first started to knit, and when my grandmother taught me, I started with the English style, where I hold the yarn in my right hand. And this is how it looks like after I knitted a few more rows of the knit stitch back and forth. And this called in the knitting language the garter stitch, where you knit back and forth, use just the knit stitch. And the fabric you create is a fabric where you see bumps in both sides of the fabric. This is the garter stitch. And actually this is all you have to know in order to start knit. So I recommend that you just grab yourself a yarn and 2 needles, straight needles, and give yourself time to practice. Garter stitch is a very meditating stitch, and the result is beautiful. You can make yourself a scarf. 99% of my kiss blanket is made out of garter stitch, which is a very, very meditative stitch. I will leave a link down below in the description box for you for the kiss blanket pattern. So thank you for watching this video and learning how to knit with me. If you enjoyed, please give the video the thumbs up, and if you like videos like this and if you like learning with me, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and push the bell button. Thank you so much, and I will see you on my next video.